All right, we're good. So like I was mentioning, it's just we really need to take charge of our stories. We know what we do is important. We all know that. I don't have to preach to you. You know that. I'm preaching to the choir if I do. And we have to really take control of what is your story. What's your story in your classroom? Whatever that story may be. And so that's the purpose of at least my mission, and that's what we're trying to share with you today. What is your story? Think about that for a minute. Go ahead. Okay. So my Twitter over here. So stories. Think about what's your stories. So are you sharing your story? Ask that to yourself. Have you been doing that? You share it with your community. We've been doing that. How many of you all do newsletters? I love newsletters. Online, paper newsletters. We send that home. Wonderful. How many of you have networked at conferences to share your stories? Have you talked to colleagues? Raise your hand if you talk to colleagues at other conferences. And we're not just talking about your district. We're talking about y'all would go to MAGC, huh? That's our home base right there. So you connect with people already at MAGC, but are you sharing it with other people outside your district? That's another challenge I have for you. Think about that. So we need to start branching out and connecting. How many of you have colleagues in other states? That's my question. Anyone? All right, gifted educators, awesome. If you don't mind me asking, how do you all connect with them? How did you connect with them?
They're friends that I've known.
So through your personal life, you knew them and you just, okay, wonderful. Anyone else want to share? How did you connect with people outside of our state?
I live in Alabama.
Oh, so yeah. So how did you know, how did you have connections with Mississippi is my question.
I live right across the line, so I actually graduated from here.
Okay. So through your connections through universities, usually through friends. What about those of you are there any of you who have no ties with people across the United States? Talking about, no, you didn't go to college with them. You did not, I've never worked with them before, but you communicate with them. That's my next question. Anyone? No one? I'll just be the only one to raise my hand. I'm the Lone Ranger. I have colleagues actually in North Carolina. I have a great cohort in Charlotte Public Schools, and we're going to be talking about how we connect with them later. I have a wonderful, also another connection too. And I'm trying to think, we have Dr. Coleman, of course, that's in the States, but she was from Alabama. But the Alabama Association for Gifted Children, I have ties there too. Even though I've never worked in Alabama, I know some people there and classroom teachers too. I'm trying to think who else I have connections with. Ian Bird, raise your hand if you've all heard of birdseedgifted.com. I have connections with him too. I'm like, ooh, he's a pretty big deal. He doesn't know he's a big deal, but I've met him in person. So you're wondering, well, who know these people? It's all about connections for me. That's like my goal too, not just sharing what we do in the classrooms, but my goal too is to connect with as many people as I can, learn as much information as I can. Yeah, grad school is great. Formal training is great. But to me, I learn better when I connect with people. And I just go email them and say, hey, what are you doing in your classroom? Do you have a lesson plan for me? I'm doing, ancient Egypt. Do you have something for me? And they'll email me back. And these are my same connections that I have no personal connection to before. Some of them I haven't met in person. Some of them I have. And you're wondering, well, how do you do this? How do we connect with people? Does anyone want to take a guess? Think about the times we live in.
Social media.
That's it. The key is social media. So this is how I've connected with people personally. We're going to share this throughout our presentation, how to do that. But also, if you join our presentations later, we have 2 workshops. We're going to take you step by step. If you're interested in joining us, we can take you through that and show you, well, how do you connect with people you don't know, and just reach out to people, because that's what it's about in our fields. So back in the day, it's like, oh, you know your district. We go to MAGC. Well, how can we branch out? How can we take our story beyond Mississippi, beyond the Southeast, and just take it further? So think about that. Think about that for a minute. All right. So it's a little scary to venture out into social media. Very, very, very scary. How many of you are already using social media for your personal reasons, professional? Okay, wonderful. How many of you have a Twitter account? Anyone? Okay. How many of you Facebook? Facebook is like common. How about LinkedIn? And LinkedIn is good for professional. What's another one? Another.
Google Communities.
Oh, Google Plus. That's new territory. Anyone dabble in that? Not yet. Some? Good. So it's pretty scary. Social media is a little scary, especially when you're thinking of, for us, it may not be as scary. Some people may just jump into it. I did my personal Twitter. That's my story. I was very hesitant at first because I started with Facebook. You know how we all start with the personal Facebook page. Yeah. We connect with people we knew, family, relatives. And then my husband was the one who pushed me onto Twitter. And I said, oh, Twitter, that's just something else. There's something more to add to my plate. What's this Twitter business? I don't want to fool with it. That's why I told him I don't want to fool with it. And then somehow he pushed me into getting on Twitter, not just personally though. He showed me a different world, which was interesting for me because I was thinking, just for personal. Why am I going to follow, Selena Gomez? What's that going to do for my life? But he pushed me to think about Twitter and social media for professional reasons. And that's what we want to challenge you with. So what do we do with Twitter? You want to go ahead and do this part right here?
Well,
it's pretty scary.
The most important thing to realize here is when you're looking at this is I like to keep my job. I don't know about you, but I've come accustomed to shelter and food and transportation. And so these are the important things to think of because AUP is acceptable use policies. Now, most school districts have these that dictate what you can tweet or use in social media, et cetera, et cetera. So make sure you follow these, not only what you share in your classrooms, but what you share personally. Because even though I know all of us here are over the age to enjoy an adult beverage, that doesn't mean that you need to tweet a picture of yourself enjoying that adult beverage, where a parent may say, I saw Miss Johnson hammered at TGIF. So you want to make sure that what you tweet or put on Facebook or whatever is acceptable based upon those acceptable use policies. Then you have the media releases that your district, again, says what is acceptable. And now the permissions, this is extremely important. Now for us, and maybe for your district, when kids register, they all sign a form that says anything that is school related can be used for the media. So if I am at a school and I'm actually tweeting something that's going on at the school, I'll do it, show their faces because they've signed the form. Now today, you'll see some stuff being shared. Their faces have been blurred because we're getting paid for this. And this is not school related. So we're going to do that. But if you don't have those permissions, don't share the faces because you don't want your face on the evening news for sharing stuff that you weren't supposed to be sharing. And also your tools. There is just a lot of tools out there and you don't want to become overwhelmed, bombarded. And also make sure that these tools are something that your school district is comfortable with teachers using.
So of course we have to bring up Twitter. Yes. That is pretty much at the core of how we have communicated. I was telling you about how we connected with people we don't know from the past, present, and we want to make sure with Twitter too, though, you can still use it for yourself as a teacher, but also think about, you can also share your story with your classroom. We have a class Twitter account in my school. Got permission. I went through those permissions with my principal, and she's pretty open, which we're very blessed that she was very open to say, yeah, sure, you can manage that Twitter account. In fact, she liked it so much that she encouraged me to manage the school Twitter account. I was like, yes, thank you, I'll do that, because I was all over that. Because that's a wonderful way, it's an easy way, quick, simple way to not only connect for you as an educator on your professional account, but for as a school, on behalf of a school or a district, that's a great way to share and to communicate. But also when you take it a step further, like I have, you collaborate. That's one I did not include, and then that's something to challenge yourself with. So what are some ways you can use the classroom Twitter account? Brought in some examples. These are actually the tweets from my classroom. I just kind of took screenshots, and we tweet throughout the year. It's not on a daily basis. It's very difficult, but some schools do that. You can do that if you'd like to. We try to do it once every week, every 2 weeks, or at least a few times a semester. And this is how you share your story. So if you're working on projects, as we all do in our gifted classrooms, this is perfect. We actually had a little display. We did summer projects in the beginning of the year where the kids, we actually purchased books for our children. They took them home over the summer. They were excited about reading them. We came back in the fall, and then we created different multiple projects. They got to choose their project, how they want to portray the theme of the story, whatever it is they want to do. So basically we do these projects like you do in your classroom. And I set up a little display area at my school. So if parents came through, they can see our projects, a little museum, kind of like a museum. And I'm sure you all do that at your school. But why not take it a step further? Why not, for those parents who can't make it to school, for those other communities, or even for the community who just don't get a chance to stop by school or don't have children in the school system anymore, for them to see what's going on in my classroom, not only did I take like a little sample screenshot, but I informed the community, because the community can read these tweets. Anyone in another state can read it. And if you're interested in reading it, you can go to our Twitter feed, which I will share later. And that's actually our blog. So I wrote a blog post on them, and I just put sample projects. So if they weren't there, if parents can make it, they can always go on the blog and see if their child's work was displayed, just to give you an idea of what we do. So that's one way. Share your work. During December, I don't know if you all are familiar. Who was familiar with the Hour of Code? That was a big thing at MAGC. I was so into that. Did y'all do it in your classrooms? Wasn't it awesome? If you're not familiar with Hour of Code, it's sponsored by code.org, and they're trying to promote science and engineering, things like that, STEM related, but it's mostly coding. And these are free tutorials that you can go to at code.org. And if you go to the Learn tab, your kids, they're already there. All the activities are there. Your kids just go through different tutorials. They're like little games. There's one for Angry Birds. That's like kind of a lower level. There's one for, I think there was a Frozen one. And my children thought, oh, the Frozen one is for girls. It's going to be easy. No, the Frozen one was actually intermediate to advanced. So I thought that was pretty neat. It was a little more involved. And the kids just go through the activities, and it teaches them coding. So my kids were just all over that. They're like, oh, we love code so much. And so I took them through those simple ones. But then the Hour of Code, the code people, they also provided different ones. This is all free too. There's no login required. So I encourage you, if you get a minute, please get out. Your kids can probably go through it in no time. So, but this one, there are other ones too that they have. They have like a main one at the top. They have the Frozen and the Angry Birds. So my kids went through those. They have one that's called Flappy Bird, which is a little more advanced. They create their own little games, and they make the bird jump and all that good stuff. And then one of my students actually, he's like, well, I want to continue. I said, well, sure, go ahead. But I don't know coding. Let me just preface by saying that I don't know anything about coding. I did the hour, I did the little birds and all that because it takes you through it. But he explored the Khan Academy one that was actually on the code website. And I said, well, go for it. But let me just, I told him, I was like, go at your own risk because I can't help you. So it's like I had no coding experience, and this is another language. And so he's like, okay, that's fine. So I just let him get on. And he did the whole Khan Academy, and he loved it. He's like my little Minecraft. I call him my Minecraft crew. I know y'all have them in your class too. The Minecraft crew will love Khan Academy. So if your kids are at that level, it's like an open-ended tutorial, and they actually type into those are the lines of code right there. It actually takes them through dimensions and options. What else? He was telling me all this stuff. I was like, oh, that's great. But this is me over my head. But I was like, this is wonderful. So he did all this. So he wrote all that code to design a little picture. You can do anything you want. So it's pretty much them drawing any picture they want. It could be as detailed as they want. This is a simple one. He actually went back and added, I don't know what other colors. He put a little top hat, a little smiley face. And then I had another student, he designed a background, like a house with the window. You can get and the more details you get, it's like the more code they use. So it's perfect for problem solving in your math and Minecraft crew. So I was just amazed. I was like, oh, this is so awesome. Because he was a self-directed learner. I mean, he wanted to learn more, and he went for it, the tools, and he took off. So this is a great way to showcase. If you have students like that, I said, well, and also too, this student too was a little, he's not very motivated most of the time. I have a hard time getting him to find interest in things. So when I saw this, I printed this out. I took a screenshot. He's like, look, Miss Airport, I finished it. I was like, oh, yes. Because I'm very rah-rah in my classroom, especially when they're like, I don't want to do anything. But then they're like, I love this. I'm like, oh, great, let's go with it. So I took a screenshot. I put it on my wall because I have a tech wall of fame. But then I said, you know what, we're going to go further because he needs to see himself and everyone needs to see how great Peyton is. So I tweeted out, not his last name, just his first name. And way to go, Peyton, for completing the Khan Academy coding tutorials. And he made this from scratch, which he did. No assistance from me. This is all him. So I was so proud of him. He was so proud. And I even used the hashtag so the out of code people could see it. And it was really cool because the next day we got a tweet back, a favorite from Khan Academy. I was like, whoo. So yeah, so we got noticed by Khan Academy. I was so excited. So that's another way to also maybe, you know, if you get on their radar, I'm gonna see if I can try to sneak in to try to get a guest speaker. Like, hey, Khan Academy, can y'all come talk to my class? So that way they notice you, so why not? So that's my next goal, to kind of sneak it in, be a little slick. So that's another example too. If you see something that your students are doing that's just like beyond what you expected, why not tweet it out? So that's one example. So as you can see, I love Twitter now, all over Twitter. How many of you are familiar with Cyberman? He has a page on everything. Like people say there's an app for that. There's like Apple has an app for that. Cyberman, Jerry, has a page for everything. You've probably come across his website and not even noticed. He has a page on it, just about anything. Science, math, teaching, work, anything. Projects, PBL, you name it. If you type him up, Cyberman on Google, you're gonna come up with a million pages. He's like the internet man, internet catalog man. And I met him actually at a tech conference, and I was like, I'm sorry. He was like a celebrity. You should have seen him. He was walking around, you know. I was like, let me get a picture with you, Jerry. And he's a wonderful person. He's great. So one of our projects was, as we do careers in gifted, our district also pushes for careers in the classroom, in the regular ed classroom, which is awesome. We have something called career clusters. So every month they have a theme like hospitality, this month is technology. So it's really cool. So we did one on education, was our month for that one. And for this project, I knew that Jerry is all over education. He's a retired teacher in Florida. He knows a lot of educators in education, but he also writes books. I did not know that. So back when he was I think it was in the 70s, 80s, and some of the 90s, he wrote some like these little books. And I thought it was interesting. I was like, oh, well, let me just tap into my resources. And instead of having a guest speaker in person, which we do all the time, which is wonderful, why not do it virtually? So I gave him a little tweet. I tweeted him out. I was like, hey, Jerry, you want to come and Skype in or Google Plus or whatever, come video chat with my kids? He's like, sure. And I was like, we're writing books. Why don't you talk to them about the process it takes to write books? And he did. He showed us samples of his books. He was wonderful. And he's used to kids. He's in the classroom. He loves it. He did a wonderful job. And my third graders loved him. He's so funny. Funny guy. So if you're interested and you follow him on Twitter, give him a shout out. Like, hey, Cyberman, we're talking about you at MUW. But he'll be willing to do it. He does it for people all over the United States, all over the world. He loves it. So another thing that we do, we want to show our community, our district, lawmakers, whoever you want to show, we want to show them the level of engagement. And that's pretty easy. We rock and gifted. Kids love coming to our class. My kids almost run when they come. They're literally running. We're like, slow down. Yeah, it's like, I know we love you. It's like, you love us and we love you too. They're just so excited to come. Our program is called Reach. That's why we have the Reach as our Twitter. So another project you can share, this is one of our projects that we did, something that's been hot in our classroom. It's called the Mystery Hangout. Has anyone heard of mystery location calls? Does anyone do video chats? We're going to talk about more of that later too. But basically, the basic premise is just how I used my connections with social media to get Jerry to come in through video chat. You can use Skype or Hangouts, Google Hangouts. And so we're starting to push for the Google Hangouts because it's a little better. It's a little faster. It doesn't take as much broadband. And it has different features that you can use with your kids that would just blow their minds. But basically, the premise of this is you want a video chat to connect. You have to connect with another class in the United States. You can do it with the state too. So if you want to, you can start today if you want to get someone who's different in another district, another part of the state. And basically what it is, the premise is, it's a mystery location. You're trying to find out, both classes are trying to figure out where you are located in the United States. So you can do state, they can guess the state, which we always get to in like 5 seconds because my kids are pros now. And then we go deeper into, well, what county are you in? Well, what city, city, what county, city, and then we go all the way down to school, and they get they're just floored. They love that part. And now we do this through a series of yes or no questions. So let's say Will and I are in 2 different schools. Let's say he's in California, I'm in Texas. So I would ask, our class would say, are you located north, south. We have to come up with questions, right? It's like east of the Mississippi, west of the Mississippi. And then they answer, no. You have to pick one, east, no. And then they have to deduct as they're going through it to find out, well, what part. And they have maps out. I have Google Maps out. What's another one we have out? And there's different jobs that I assign because even though you see two kids in front of the computer, everyone in the background is like scrambling and, they're trying to, okay. And the kids are just really into that kind of call. And that's awesome. We're going to have to talk more about Mystery Sky. But this kind of stuff, if you do something that's different or that just shows your kids engaged in anything, why not take action shots? And that's exactly what I do with my students. I didn't take any of these photos. My students took these. And she caught me behind my desk and I was like, because I was just so excited. It's our first mystery hangout. So I had to be just as excited as they are. But this is all taken through my students. That's one of the jobs they had, is the photographer. They're like, here, go. He's like, it's like, just do it. And they take snapshots. We create a little collage. And then we just tweet it out to share. This is awesome. This is what engagement looks like. This is why we're relevant. This is why we need to be, we need to be relevant. Gifted is it. So this is just to show the excitement. And then also what I like to do, that's the at Mousson class. That's my contact in Pennsylvania. She's wonderful. Amy Mousson. I had to tweet her because I knew who she was. She was my Twitter contact, but the kids didn't know who she was and they didn't know where her students were. So it was fun. So at the end, I can actually tweet out her class when we finally finish so that our kids would, because they'll figure it out. And we tweet that out. And then I have the tag for the district, which is also good. So the district can see. So they can see what we're doing. So that helps out with our story. And another example too, if you have any work, this is kind of with sharing with projects and things like that. Our students actually participated, our second graders. We did research poems instead of just researching and doing a typical report. We actually wrote poems because that challenges kids to think. Instead of just doing a plain report, I had them write it in poem format so they can see what's important, what's not. And that was very difficult for second grade. So difficult. And with the project that I found was actually perfect for what we were doing since we were doing research poems. Theirs was they created a global ebook. This was the hashtag TWIMA, the world's my audience. They had all these submissions because I found this person on Twitter. And what they wanted was poems about your country, your state, whatever it was. And they have one going on right now, actually. I think one is bullying. I think the theme is bullying. And they're asking for like middle school or even elementary. They're asking for like middle elementary, like upper elementary to middle school. So if you look up that hashtag, you'll find him. I forget his name, but he's still taking submissions. And you just turn them in when you want to. You turn in the pictures. And what he did, he was compiled it all into an ebook. And I thought, oh, this is wonderful. Let's go ahead and tweet that out. And so with his permission, I was able to do that. You can share that, and then you see my little blogger link. So this is the way you share. Keep sharing, putting it out there for everyone to see, because the parents love to see this too. They love to see the work. And then my students can actually go to the blog, go to the actual book, and print out their page. I told them exactly where it was. I showed it. I was like, oh, go to this page, print it out. There's your poem. It's awesome. And then when you want to go further, so while you're sharing your student work, you're making connections on Twitter as a teacher, as a classroom. You can also start making collaborations. You're going to see this name pop up. This is my other contact from Texas. Love her, love her, love her. Her name is Donna Lasher. She's out of Texas, San Antonio, Texas, I think. And she also teaches gifted, just like I do. She has several grade levels like I do. I was like, oh, Donna, we have to connect. So what we do every once in a while, every semester, I just get with her and I say, hey, let's find a time. And we just, how we share projects in our gifted classrooms. They just come up to, their peers and they share, and that's great. But why not find a class just like yours? And then they share with this class in Texas or in Florida or in New York. And imagine that. Imagine they share with someone if they're in school because they're snowed in. But how cool would that be if you share projects with these other teachers and then you start talking about other things, start building, like you could do virtual pen pals. You can do so much. So she's one of my contacts. I've known her for several years, and we just communicate throughout. And she actually was working on perplexers, the little thinking. I know y'all do them too. They have books that we sell because my partner teacher does that part for our gifted program. She does all the perplexers and thinking skills. And so she gets them from books and she just, copies and makes the kids do them, and that's great. But her kids actually made them. I was like, oh, and you probably make them too. So why not swap? And that's what she did. She emailed them to me. And then we had our kids work them, and we had to share the results. So the kids thought it was cool. They're like, they made them? Our kids were like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I was like, yeah, you can totally make them. And so her kids love the fact that our kids were trying to solve her perplexers. So it was pretty interesting to see that collaboration. And those are my kids working the perplexers. And then like another activity that you can do after that is, why don't you share your answers and share how you solved it? And how authentic is that? Think about that, like your work, and on their ends, think about Donna's end, her children were just like, oh, they can solve ours? Like, yeah, you can do that too. So they was just, it was just great to see the reactions. And the kids were so into it. Usually when they do them, they're like, okay, whatever, we're so used to these. But when you tell them, hey, this is created by kids your age, other fourth grade class, it just changes the whole dynamic. And they love it. They love doing stuff like that. And as you can see, she mentioned us down here in a blog post. So she wrote a blog post about us. We're like, woo. So we just love seeing our pictures. It's amazing. The collaborations that you can do on Twitter.
Okay, now, who here blogs? Awesome. This is something that, for me, if you were to create the holy trinity of teachers and what you should be doing, blogging is one of that. Not only should you blog as a teacher and get a class blog and have your students share the wonderful things that you are doing in your classroom with, and have them actually blog themselves, but you as an educator should be sharing what you are doing. And there's a lot of educators, especially on Twitter, you'll see them, and they literally, if they're doing this activity in the classroom, they walk you through step by steps. They do how-tos. They do screencasts of tools. They do just a wonderful job of sharing and connecting with other educators around the world. And as you can see, there's several different platforms. I'm actually, I love Blogger because to me, it's just really intuitive, very, very easy to design as well. And I happen to be a Google man. I believe in going Google or going home. So that's sort of my mantra to live by. You have Weebly as well. Wix is a pretty good platform. And then you have WordPress. Now, WordPress, I'm just going to say this. WordPress is for people who have time to really design, because it is not one of those plug and play type situations. You need, especially if you want to sort of personalize it, it takes a lot more work to do. And even though I'm an instructional technologist and I actually teach teachers how to use technologies and I try to encourage them, but if it's going to take me too much work, then I'm not bothering with it. So that's a platform that I tend to stay away from, but I do know a lot of people who actually love the platform. And then as you can see, this is actually an example of posts that kids are talking about, where teachers are talking about what has actually happened into the classroom. Can you share that?
This is my blog post. So the difference between Twitter, if you want to do something quick, short, snap visual, you want visual, whatever media tool, whatever social media tool you use, I'm always big on visuals, like video, media, pictures, whatever, because you want everyone to see what you're doing. So with the blog, you get to elaborate a little more. And I have a teacher blog, which is my professional blog. And I get more into like, this is my reflections type thing. Like, this is how I did the lesson. Here are my resources. And here's my reflection. So that's basically how I do my professional blog. This is my class blog, which is more like, hey, this is it. And it's more kid-friendly language. It's more for the parents, for the community, or for even, other people who just run across our blog to see what we were doing. And for this one, we're just talking about the do-it-yourself challenges. If you go to diy.org, that's a great website. If you all are into has anyone heard about maker spaces being floated around? Like, you make something where we make the kids do something or create something. It goes along with that philosophy of the kids get to pick their own projects. And it's usually career related because they have a page where you go to, I think it's skills you go to under skills once you log into the site, or you can even do it on Google. It gives you different skills, like, what's the one? Architect. Oh, there's one that's really awesome. It's called cardboarder. And they have like mini challenges that the kids can do. It's amazing. The site is called diy.org. That's just the site. Do it yourself. The maker spaces. There's no site for that. Just Google it. Maker spaces, one word. And it's like a movement that's going around where it's more STEM related for science and engineering, but you can make it what you want. So I'm kind of making it more open-ended and more independent, where my students choose like a passion or a career. and then they make something to show their knowledge. So that's the approach I'm taking with it, and that's why this doityourself.org is a wonderful site for that, because they can even log in with their parents at home and do the challenges. I think I brought it up to my nephew, my sister-in-law. She is actually a gifted ed teacher as well. And she's like, oh, that's great, because I do it with him all the time. I was like, oh, that's wonderful, because he loves building stuff from cardboard. So then there's little different challenges you can do. So this is the kind of stuff that, you can do with blogging. You can share these resources, and it's just up to you how you want to share. You can get more into depth, because I couldn't explain all this with the little 140 characters on Twitter. You see, so they have different purposes. So I do like the blog for that reason. And as you can see, this is my little student down here at the bottom. It's really difficult to see, but she wants to be an interior designer, and she works well with making things out of her hand. And I think hers was an interior designer, was a job on doityourself.org. And what she wanted to create was a cardboard box with pretty much like the designers do. You know how they have the board, the vision board and things like that. So she went through all that, and then she was making her own room, basically. And she went out to the craft store and bought the little patterns. And then I had some cardboard available for her. And we just had to get real creative. Like, you make a chair out of the little the tape dispenser that was left over. We always throw out. I keep all that. I'm the one who's like, wait, don't throw that away. And we throw it into our junk box. I call it my maker cart. And so that she could reuse that and make a little cushion out of it for a chair, for her little design. So she was so into that project. That was just a little independent project that they did. And they were my experimental group, the 6th graders from last year. And they loved it. They ate it up. They're like, oh, one made like a suit. He made like a Iron Man suit out of cardboard. And boy, was that hard. And we're talking, this student he's like the top in his class. Never gets anything wrong. You know who he is, the advanced learner, the advanced reader, has read every book, probably in high school, and he's already in 6th grade. So I was like, I got to do something with him. So I tried this do-it-yourself org. This is the first time I've ever seen him struggle, because I just gave him cardboard. I gave him some tape, and I said, you pick your challenge. He's like, I want to do the cardboard. Go for it. And I've never seen him struggle with anything, because he finishes in like 2 seconds, anything written. But you make him build something. He planned it out. He sketched it, and he actually put the suit on at the end. He had the little suit on. He only did the top part, but he was having a hard time with that helmet. I was like, yeah. So you have to get creative with that one, because I don't know. But you can even integrate it instead of being so open-ended like I was. You can even say, well, why don't you research medieval helmets, or you can even bring some more historical context into it if you want to. So you can make it whatever you want. But I thought it was awesome, because I've never seen him struggle until that time. When I made him do this, he was like, I can't do this. I'm like, well, you're going to have to figure it out. And that's what Maker Spaces is about, having them problem solve and figure it out for themselves. So this is amazing to use all this to share all this. Another one we did was when we communicate, when we Skype or use Hangouts, like I was telling you with Donna's class, this is when we were sharing our projects. And she brought me up the idea. I think her kids were doing the challenge. You can look that up online too. It's called the Cardboard Challenge. And they have those kind of challenges. I think they're open-ended too. For her kids, I don't know if you can see it right here in the middle, they created a little game out of cardboard. And I think that's going to be my next step too this semester, is to give them that option. Like, do you want to do the Cardboard Challenge, or did you want to do the ones that are on doityourself.org, DIY.org? So you can do it either way. But this is amazing. Just we took pictures and they shared their project. We shared our reading projects. You can give feedback. So like I was talking earlier, it just makes it fun. It makes it more authentic when you can find that class who's just like yours in another part of the world, or the country, the states, and say, hey, here's a new audience. Let's present it. It makes it fresher, because they're so used to presenting to each other. But when you just bring in that other class and share that, it's just amazing. And the kids love seeing themselves. They go back to the blog. And then with blogging too, you have that comment feature with blogs. I mean, someone can tweet you back and say, hey, great job. But Donna's class can actually leave a comment, or whoever's class it is. Think about that. They leave comments underneath, and they say, hey, Miss DeAmber's class, we love those XYZ, and y'all did so wonderful job. And you can leave questions if you didn't have time during your call. You can also extend that learning. So that's what I love about blogging too. It's still interactive. It may not be real time like Twitter. They tweet you back right then or whenever. This one could be more in depth. If they have questions, they can actually leave those questions for you in the commenting section. That's what I love about blogging. But also the other reason I use my blog, not to just share our stories and activities and the lessons and engagement and learning, but I also kind of use it like a website. It's kind of like our little hub. Our kids know if we want to see, oh, my mom wants to see my project, they can go there. But I also have features on my blog. On the right side, there's like a right tab where I have all the websites that we use in class. We always watch the news. I don't know if y'all watch the news. We do that daily. At the beginning of class, our kids know they come in, we watch the news. Let's see what's going on in the world. And there are two ones that we use. We use the CNNnews.com or we use the Channel 1 News. Oh, I love Channel 1 because that was like, reminds me when I was in high school. I was like, oh, Lisa Lang, yeah. That was so cool when I figured out my teaching partner was like, did you know Channel 1 still in existence? I was like, no. Oh, yeah, taking me back, yeah. But we still watch Channel 1 and the CNN Student News. And then they have Compass because we're a Compass school. All the district tools we're a Brain Pop school, we're an AR school. So the kids know when they need something at home or in class, they can always go there, click on it, and they're learning at home. And then we have typing games and all kinds of great stuff. We also use Edmodo. That's one of our platforms that we use to submit work. But I also have a little section too, while you're at it and sharing, why not have it, a little space for parents? So we have our supply list. When we have our welcome in the beginning of the year, I put the supply list in their schedule. We just updated our handbook. So I put that up there. I said, parents need to know the regulations. They need to be informed. Keep it up there. Parents know to go there if they need to, if they have a question about something, it's there for them. And then we have a spotlight board. We do, instead of student of the month, because we don't get to see our kids every day. At least we don't. I don't know about y'all, but we do once a week. We have to do every 9 weeks. We want to showcase. So I give them a bulletin board and I say, oh, you're the student of the term this year, this semester or term. And so you get to design your bulletin board. So that's up there. If parents have a question, well, what do I bring for their board? They can click on that and it'll take them to the documents. It's a little handout I made, a poster, and they'll know what to bring. And then I also have up there show and tell because we love show and tell. Kids just love bringing things, sharing things. And we do this weekly. We don't assign it to them. We just keep it open. We say, if you want to do a show and tell, you get 1 per 9 weeks, but it has to be something different. Don't bring a coloring book. Don't bring your favorite toy. Let's think, outside the box and think about something that you can share that's special to you, that will tell us a little bit more about you that we didn't know before. So we do that kind of thing. It's kind of for the social emotional to kind of give them that space. And so we use this too. That's why I love blogging, because you can do a little more with blogging and have all these resources available to parents and families and students. Okay, you want to get into the next part?
Well, yes. Well, this is about how educators themselves are actually blogging and the content they put on their blog. Now, who here knows Ginger Lumen? I've ever heard of her.
Y'all were here last year.
Okay. Well, she's actually one of you, a gifted educator. And then you the URL to her blog here, and this is actually from Twitter, so you can see her bio right there. And I am not a classroom teacher, but with my blog, I share podcasts. I actually have a podcast called The Dr. Will Show, and I actually interview educators and give them a spotlight to share what they're actually doing in their classrooms and ideas and theories that they have. Who's next?
And that is her blog at the bottom.
That is her blog, the URL at the bottom. And this is Sarah Thomas. Shout out to Sarah. She is a fantastic teacher in the DC area. She is not a gifted teacher, but I wanted to share her and her blog because she tweets a lot about technology and how you can use educational technology in various ways inside of the classroom. She's a fantastic conference presenter as well. And for those of you who are interested in flipping your classroom in any way, she is a flipping ninja. She is definitely my go-to person there. And she's also is a Google certified teacher as well. And again, that is the URL to her blog right there.
Look at her description. We all have a story. What's yours? Love that.
And this is Jennifer Sheffer. There's a lot of educators that I actually connect with and go to their blogs. But again, she's an ed tech specialist. But what I love about her is she shares a lot of great tools. And for me, being as googly as I am, I love being able to follow her and get these fantastic how-tos. And her how-tos are very clean, very clear, very easy to follow. And so for teachers who are just really starting out, learning how to use various technology tools, she is definitely a go-to person to follow. And as again, you can see her blog right here, jennifersheffer.wordpress.com. Notice she chose the WordPress.
Most of them.
You know.
It's very difficult, though. We're going to warn you.
Yes,
It's not user friendly.
I'm a simple dude. Meat, potatoes. I order the same thing at most restaurants. I'm not that adventurous. So for me, you know, I like to keep it simple with Blogger.
Bloggers also Google. FYI. Go Google or go home. So of course I've been mentioning Donna. She's gonna be like, oh, she's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful resource. She's my go-to person. Elementary, she teaches in elementary to several grade levels, and she's just amazing. I don't know how she does K through 5. I just really don't know. Like I know I have 2nd through 6. I don't know if y'all do 2nd through 6. The majority of you do 2nd through 6, or do y'all more like certain grade levels? Y'all kind of 2. See, we do 2nd through 6.
Yeah, 2nd to 8.
That's gotta hurt. Yeah, and it's hard. It's really hard. So I don't know how she does it. It's just very difficult, very difficult. But check out her blog. She does a wonderful job of sharing like exactly how I do. And she has her classroom blog. That's what's listed right there. And she goes through the project. She even has the kids write their own blog posts, which I'm like, ooh, props to her, because that's great. Because that really gets them thinking about how they're going to share their story, and they really pay attention to, you know, how they're going to put everything that they've learned into one little blog post. So that's amazing on her behalf. I've seen her kids actually blog, and they embed the slideshows. I'm like, oh, I can imagine. Just great stuff that she's doing with them. He is a rising star. He's great. Aaron, really funny guy. I haven't met him in person, but I follow him closely. He's my STEM guy. Like, I have my people on Twitter. I call them my Twitter folks. So if I have a question about STEM, I'm going to Aaron. He is amazing, out of Iowa, and he hangs out with the, you know, the STEM crew on Twitter. They have like a STEM hashtag. I don't even know. I think it's just STEM, STEM is their hashtag. But his website, check out his website, coffeeforthebrain.com, because I've seen him around, but I didn't put the two together. It's kind of like when you start off on Twitter, that's what you realize, like, oh, I've seen this website, like with Jerry. I'm like, oh, I've seen this. I'm like, oh, you're Jerry, you know, like kind of with Aaron. I'm like, I read his Coffee for the Brain. I had it saved and I would read it, but I'm like, oh, he is the one who does Coffee for the Brain. Oh, so it just all makes sense when you see it all come together. But he does a lot of Lego robotics. He had an Eagle project. So if you're into science, nature, having kids build stuff, he is amazing, and he takes you through it too. Like, his blog is more like my professional blog, where he takes you through, this is what I've been doing, and this is my reflection. And I love that kind of stuff because he's so transparent with it, and he'll admit to, you know, his mistakes and, you know, what he's going through. So I love people like that who can just kind of take me inside their heads, because I always tell them, I'm gonna pick your brain one day, but I don't need to tell him that because he's so open on his blog. He's great. Wonderful. Now, he's my go-to guy right here. I used to do math, and not only do my gifted class, but we used to do an enrichment kind of a block in the beginning of the school day in my school district. It was just for enrichment, and then they would give me all the high kids for like 30 minutes a day, and then say, here, teach math. It's like, okay, and then I would get their RIT ranges, you know, like, oh, I get the real high ones. And so in the beginning, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, because I'm not really a math person per se. And the level that these kids were at, you know, our gifted kids, they're like way above here. So I'm thinking, well, I can't do the remedial stuff because they'll just, you know, give them a worksheet. What do they do? Done in 5 seconds. I was like, well, that's not going to work for me. So what I had to do was get real creative and find my people on Twitter and just kind of look at their profiles. And I saw Matt come up, and he is wonderful. He's one of those people I've developed a connection with him throughout the years, where I can go to him now. It's just, this is how people are, how awesome they are on Twitter. I can go to him right now and say, hey, Matt, do you have something on this? And he will send me the document. He will send me the resource. Like, that's just amazing. It's like our little virtual teacher's lounge. I love Matt. He's out of Chicago, based out of Chicago. He actually specializes in math, advanced math. I'm like, oh, you're my go-to guy. And so he gave me, I remember a long time ago, he had this document. I was like, oh, you're a savior. Because I'm like, oh, I can use all these projects. Because he gave me like open-ended projects that relate to the real world. And that's exactly what my kids needed. Like simple stuff like, plan this field trip. They didn't know, oh, we have to hire a bus driver. We have to calculate the mileage. We have to, you know, find out what the admission cost is. It's all together and come up with a plan on how we're going to get our kids, you know, our group to a field trip. Simple stuff like that. You would think, oh, I get the kids on how. You give them real life tasks, and they're just like, huh? What do I do? And I have to tell them, look, you're using the math that you know. You already know how to add, multiply, divide. So think about how are you going to put this all together
and make it work, because I get to give them the actual challenge. If you can come up with a field trip and you can come up with a plan, we're going to make it work. I told them we're going to make it work. And so they had to actually come up with a trip. They actually had to go on the website and find charter boats. And I gave them the option. Do you want to do a local one? Like, surrounding cities, only 30, 40 miles, not anything over 50 miles. Okay. Maybe even closer than that. You can even do even like, because we're near Southern Miss. If you do a Southern Miss trip, how's that going to change your amount? And I take them through that whole step, and it just blows their minds, because they're like, oh, you have to do all this to plan a field trip? I'm like, yeah, that and then some more. And then I give them the actual grant. There was actually a PTA grant that we had at our school at the time when we did that. And they were like, oh, you have to fill this out? I'm like, if you want money to fund your field trip, yes. And you're going to have to describe, and you have to give me a rationale. So I give them all these real life tasks. I say, you're going to have to plan this field trip. And then I give them the advanced ones. I say, okay, you're going to plan your dream vacation. How much is that going to cost? How large is your family? You have to consider all these things. And they love stuff like that. And Matt gave me those ideas. He gave me templates. I'm like, oh, you're great. So great. So he's my go-to person for math. Anything math related. I think they have a math chat, but I'm not sure what the hashtag is on Twitter. And they meet every week, so I follow them closely. When I need something for math, I just kind of peek in. I'm like, oh, this is good stuff. And I just favorite. I tweet and things like that. But he is my go-to person. When I need something for math, he's going to take it just to another level. But of course, he's doing way more advanced stuff than my field trip project. He does way more than I do, but that's why I go to him. He's like, no, you're my person. He knows it too. And his you have to check out his blog, mattcody.com. He's another one that he's on a whole nother level with his math knowledge, and where he takes his kids. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And he reflects on his whole process too, which I love. I love to see all that, the thinking. Also, too, when you do Blogger or any kind of blogging platform, I like to interview, like I was telling you earlier, show people what you're doing. Don't just tell them. You can tell them, that's great, but let's show them. And so what I do is I integrate different tools. And what I'm starting to do now, too, what I encourage you to do if you use technology and tools, once you start kind of dabbling in it and you see, oh, this would be great, you start noticing, hey, my kids can use this, because if I can figure it out, I know they're going to figure it out quicker than I am. And so one thing that we use a lot for pictures, if y'all haven't used it, PicMonkey, that's a great platform. If you need to edit a photo and just quickly copy paste and or you upload it, you don't need to sign in, it's free. Just want to edit it, change the effects and all that good stuff, go to PicMonkey. It's quick, it's easy. I use it for my newsletter. I use it for all kinds of stuff. And I love PicMonkey. And there's no login required, which I love. And there's actually some filters on there. You're going to love this. There's one that I'm going to have to explore, called, like, they have theme ones, like a Valentine's Day, they put the little, you put the frames and the hearts. There's one that's actually the zombies. That's what caught my attention. So you can see, like, where my brain goes, like, oh, zombies. So you can make yourself a zombie or like a ghost or something. And how cool would that be for a zombie unit? Because I'm thinking of doing like a zombie apocalypse one day. It's in my brain. Can you imagine having kids find out what's the best place to survive if there was zombie apocalypse? The kids. So I'm like, oh, when I saw PicMonkey, I was like, oh, they can zombie themselves when they're done. Just don't make it too gruesome. But my kids will eat that up. Yeah, PicMonkey is the place to go. It's great, it's visually great. For media, if you can record when you get those permissions, you go through all that. If you want to record what's happening, which we do, we have video. If you want to do a slideshow, you want to make it quick and simple. No, I think you have to do a login for Animoto, but it's free for educators. So check that one out. It's like a slideshow generator, and it has pretty music and it's visual. It looks like you spend like 1 million hours on it, but it really only takes like 10 minutes. So that's my trick. You want to make it look good. So Animoto's good. And I think they do have an educator account, but I'm not sure if they can allow students to use it. But I normally wouldn't do that. Like if I do something like Animoto, I would probably have like a teacher account and have the kids work off, my account and just create stuff. But I wouldn't recommend it for each child to have one. But one that I do recommend is iMovie. I've been exploring iMovie for a few years, and I had to get formal training on it. And once I figured it out, I was like, oh, I got this. And then I've been using it, and I'm like, wait a minute, this takes a minute to do. Yeah, it took me a while to learn, but you know what? Why don't my students use it? So now we have MacBooks. We have a MacBook cart in my school. I was like, yes, score. Our former tech person's like, well, we just have them sitting in the closet. Oh, can I have them? So he gave me a whole cart. So basically we're 1-to-1. I was like, yes. And so now I'm like, oh, I can use iMovie. So I've been showing my students. We actually made our Beta Club video just recently. For those of you who do the Beta Club sponsored, I was a tech committee person.
No surprise. I'm like, oh, okay, we'll do it. We'll do it. So they came to me. The person came to me. I was like, oh, you know, I'll do it. Just don't even ask. And the kids were already like, is it going to be Miss D'Amber? I was like, oh, you know it. I'm like, geek status. Yeah. They know me. So they were excited, and they did the whole video on their own. I just showed them a few ways to do it. They chose the media. Well, they had the pictures already. They chose the music. They put it all together, and they even chose the theme, which is Beta is Service for this year. They had to decide, well, how are you going to put this all together? How are you going to show Beta Club, the national people, what we're about here at our school? And so they put it all together, and they made it happen. And it's really not that difficult. We have actually done trailers with iMovie for book trailers. What else have we done? We've done a few things. And recording like school events, when we have presenters come, you can record it, and they can edit it on iMovie. So it does take a little bit for them to learn, but once they know it, they're good to go. They love iMovie. They're like, oh, this is so cool. And once they know how to use iMovie, they can use any other platform because everything is pretty much similar to it. So yeah, I would encourage that too. Have them create it, not you.
Have you heard of We Video?
We Video, that's another one we explored just recently. Yes.
We did. And we couldn't figure out how to get the kids to put the voice on the video. So one of my kids said, I've got this. And so he researched it. And then he came back and said, okay, so this is how you're going to do it.
He's going to tell you.
And I said, so you're my tech man.
There you go.
You're going to take the speakers and you're going to tell them how to do the video.
That's exactly what you want to do. Let them take control. I have badges in my room. Like physical I bought at Office Depot. And I printed it out. I made it look so formal. The Reach Tech Specialist. And then I put return at the end of class. You know, like the little small letters. And then they have their little, and they're hanging on my wall. And the kids just, like you said, they already know how to do it. They know if they don't, they'll figure it out. And when I see my students figure it out, I say, go get that badge. I'm like, oh yes. You should see them like, they do this to themselves and they walk over there and get their badge. And then they just do theirs. And I let them, they have permission to get up. Like you said, go up to the board and show us. You figured it out. You get to show us, tech specialists. And then they have permission to get up while we're doing projects and assist other tables and things like that. So that's what you want. You want students to take charge because they're going to know. They're going to figure it out before we do. So yeah, that's what I do with my students. So another thing that we have too, our school. So we have our blog. We have our Reach Twitter account. We also have, when you have your email, through my school email, I have my YouTube account. I created one for my school. So I gave it the name of our school. And so whenever I upload videos to YouTube, I always upload it to that account because I had permissions through that account. So I never do it through my personal because that's personal. It's my own stuff. You do it through your school account. So if your school is a Google App school like we are, you already have that option to link those two together. So anything that goes through, it's going to be all for our school. And we have our YouTube channel. I created a little banner. So it's all integrated. That's what I love about all these tools. So all I have to do with my iMovie, once it's done, just upload it to YouTube and it's there and they can see it. And then you can tweet that out. You tweet the link out. You see how it's all coming together? You can even embed the YouTube video right on the blog post. So and there's a way to do that. You don't even have to know HTML because I don't know HTML. I know basics, but I figured that out myself. So if I can figure it out, you can figure it out, your students can figure it out. So this is what's wonderful about the media. It's all just together, all integrated. And some widgets to add, I would recommend if you do widgets. Widgets are external, I guess, like little, I call them toys, visual toys that you can add on there. So since we're a Brain Pop school, we have a subscription. There is a way, I have to figure it out, to embed actually, you know how they have the video of the week if you go to their website? They have the video of the week. So this week they would have like Martin Luther King because it's Black History Month. So they would have a video from Martin Luther King and it's on my blog right now. If you go on there and you can actually show the video because we have a subscription. I embedded the actual widgets and it just pops up automatically. So if the kids are on my blog over the weekend, they click on that video and just listen to an interesting story. So that's really nice to have too, is these extra widgets. Here's a cool widget. If you do blog and you use Blogger, please use Revolver Maps. It's wonderful. It's like a little interactive globe. There's two options. There's a flat map that I have at the bottom, or you have the actual 3D revolving map. And what's cool about the 3D one, like you see down here, see how it has the little flags? It lights up when someone's on at your blog. Kids love that. When I go and I tweet something out, they'll say, oh, somebody from China's reading our blog, but it's only live if they're there. But the flat map, the one at the bottom, it has dots. You can pick a yellow dot, a red dot. And they're like, well, what are all these dots? And I say, well, these are all the visits from all over the world. And then we explore, oh, How many continents? Oh, we have some people in South America. Yep, you see some dots in South America. Oh, there's some people in Australia. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's some people in China. Yes. So they get to see the dots in relation to where they are. It's like, we're right here. Our dot would be like right here. But look at all these red dots. These are all the people who have visited our blog once. That all the hits, basically. And so it's really cool to see that throughout the years, the dots just grow. And you can change yours if you want to every year. I just keep it because it just looks so cool to see, all the dots, all the people who have visited my blog, our class blog. And then this one is even neater when it lights up when we're talking about the blog and I have it displayed. They're like, oh, somebody from Texas is reading our blog. I was like, that's probably our friend Donna. Yeah, so yeah, they're like, oh yeah, that's right. I was like, that probably is, you don't know. So it's pretty cool that when they get to see that in relation to themselves, it gives them a global perspective and say, you have a global audience. Think about that now. That's amazing. That's huge impact.
All righty, folks. Now, this is my favorite because now I love Twitter. Twitter is awesome. I wrote my dissertation on Twitter. It's great, but the problem sometimes can be the feeds can be overwhelming, and then you only have 140 characters to say what you need to say, and sometimes that. Let's just say I've seen some very interesting spelling. People trying to squeeze something in those 140 characters. But this is where online communities come in. Now, not only can you share a lot of the things that were discussed earlier, but these are communities where you can actually join, meet with other educators, and start to learn and grow with. And later on, when you go into learning more about PLNs, you'll get greater into that. But we all here know about Facebook. We all. Yeah. Let me know now. Just sitting back there. I mean, I'm like, am I that boring? And then there's Google Plus. Google Plus. You gotta get on Google Plus. Facebook is. I took the app off my phone. Yes.
Sell me on Google Plus because I'm on there, but I don't know why. I don't know what it's
You're on Google Plus because it's fantastic. It's amazing. Okay. Okay. Now, the reason it is so amazing because you can follow whomever you want, whatever organization you want. Let's say for Facebook, if you are this fantastic educator in gifted or technology or whatever, I have to friend you and you have to accept my friendship. Right. That person may say, I don't know this person because this is, and because some people tend to use that to post very personal stuff, they may not tend to connect with people they don't know. But with Google Plus, not only do people share certain personal things, but they also share a lot of the things, as mentioned, that's going on in the classrooms. And so you can just add them to a circle. And now you're following what they're posting. I don't have to wait for you to accept my friendship. I don't have to wonder what's going on. I add you to a circle and it's all good. And I get to choose what circle to put you in. So let's say, for example, I want to put you in a gifted teacher circle, and this helps you out for information. So let's say it's Saturday morning, kids are still asleep. So you say, I got some rest, I got some peace going on right now. So I'm going to have me some coffee and I'm going to see what's going on in the world. You can just specifically look under gifted education circle, and in that feed, you're seeing only the gifted teachers and what's going on.
Can you categorize Twitter like that?
Yes.
You have to do lists. With Twitter, you have to create lists in order to do that breakdown. And another way is to use TweetDeck as well. And I know my wife uses TweetDeck and a lot of other people use TweetDeck. I don't know what's going on with me. I just have a straight feed and I just see everything goes down and I'm just in it. I'm just working it. So I love it that way. But with Google Plus, they also have Google communities, which is awesome. So you heard of Facebook group, but these are communities where people are different groups and everything. And so one of the communities is GEG Mississippi. And GEG Mississippi, and I happen to be the leader of GEG Mississippi. It's called Google Educator Groups, and this is from actual Google. Now, sadly to say, Google doesn't pay me for this, but GEGs exist all across the United States and all over the world, and it is for educators to meet together, to organize together, to connect, to collaborate, to share best practices. And so you can join these groups. And again, you know, Twitter may, because the feed is coming, you may not feel connected to people. You may not feel it's your cup of tea. But because these happen to be groups and communities, and specifically centered around a certain topic, you can find your tribe. You can find that community, that sense of belonging that you may not find in Twitter. Because I mean, I love Twitter. I really do. But Google Plus, that's my place. And it's really a great jumping point for me. So let's just say I meet people on Google Plus, on Twitter. Okay, again, 140 calories. 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 If only that country fried steak last night was 140 calories. But your 40 characters, you know, to say whatever you need to say. You can still have a conversation that way. But what if you want an extended conversation? And you want to extend that into Google Hangouts. So now I'm seeing you face to face, and we're really dialoguing, we're really connecting, we're planning. We're going to do this. Google Plus is where you go. And so I meet people on Twitter, and if we're vibing and we want to connect more, we take it to Google Plus, where I'm not limited by a character count, where we can say, tomorrow, let's do a Google Hangout, and then let's really sort of dialogue and plan. And because it's, you know, face to face, essentially, you can really build those relationships. And then later on, I'll talk about Google Hangouts in terms of what you can do with your classroom. Because earlier she talked about field trips. All right. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think a teacher in our district would go to their principal and say, let's take our kids to Tanzania. You know, they may, I don't know what the response will be. I'm gonna let that go. But via Google Hangouts, you can take your kids anywhere in the world, which brings me to Connected Classrooms, which is a community inside of Google Plus. Now, you can find this, and we're going to go over that, and we may even, if we have time, we can pop in there before we leave here. But this is a way they have virtual field trips to a lot of places, and you just hop on via Google Hangout. So last year, one for me that's stuck in my mind was one to an aquarium. And so the kids actually saw the dude in the wetsuit in the tank, and you know, he was doing his thing. And then when he got out and started to talk to the kids and field questions with them. And so the classes on the Hangout were able to talk to him. I have actually organized Google Hangouts with several teachers around our district. So I love these. And so the culinary arts teacher was just saying, hey, I want to do something with my kids. And so a friend of mine, her husband happens to be a chef and owns his own restaurant. And they did a hangout with him. And so her culinary arts kids were able to say, hey, what are your favorite ingredients? How did you, what made you become a chef? And it was funny because as he was saying all this, his stuff, she was walking by going, now, didn't I tell you that in class? I told you. And so it really not only affirmed what she was saying, but kids were able to get this real life experience into the classroom. And again, you know, being able to do that connection is amazing because bringing in that outside experience and influence is fantastic. And for you being able to connect with like-minded educators, your tribe, to me, I can't even, it's one of the best PDs you can ever get. And I say this, getting paid to deliver PD. This is just awesome. You can't even put a price on that. And then these relationships, once you meet people in person at conferences, then it changes the game. Because normally at conferences, and you've been, you don't mingle with other folks. You tend to stick with the people from your own school, or if you drove together, you stick with those people throughout the whole day. But once you start developing these relationships, now you go, Cindy, and you're now branching out. You're now, really connecting with other people, and it makes the conference experience, quite honestly, to me, a lot better than what it would have been. Because for me, ISTE is amazing. Anyone here interested in educational technology? You gotta go to ISTE. You gotta go to ISTE. I don't care if you don't go to any conference ever. I guess MAGC. But outside of that, and TGIF. Okay, these be two.
NAGC too.
ISTE. ISTE. Go on Twitter, you'll find it. ISTE, right? ISTE. That is oh my God, it's like the Woodstock of ed tech. It's just incredible. It's fantastic. It's so huge. And it was unbelievable. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I was so excited. And my boss was like, Will, calm down. We hadn't even started yet. I was just like, yes. And it was a great place to go. So really check out ISTE if you are really into ed tech, because there's a lot of things that for gifted teachers, because especially since you don't have that curriculum of these are the English standards I teach. This is great ways to do projects and really bring that in. So what do we have?
And then ISTE, I'll put another plug for ISTE. That's where I learned about the maker spaces. Like I heard of it throughout, but I got to see it in action at ISTE because some of my gifted folks were actually they have these playgrounds where you have like people at tables, like Googles at tables. And instead of being like in a conference where you sit, at MAGC, we have the normal sessions and the breakouts. You're actually standing with the people who are presenting and they're showing you through, and they have a little mini screen. And I love the playgrounds. I love hands-on.
Awesome.
So I recommend it. Next one.
Yep. So this is how you can connect with us on Twitter. By the way, anyone here on Twitter? Okay, we created a hashtag for this because
put it on the slide.
You were so excited you started. You didn't say the hashtag. The hashtag is TGIF MUW 15. TGIF MUW 15. That is the hashtag for this conference. So as you are going to your different sessions and something pops into your mind, you say, I gotta share this. Tweet it out and use this hashtag to share. Take pictures of stuff. Share it. Get people involved in this conference. And if you're at my session, I won't think any less of you if I see you on the phone. I'm just going to assume that you're actually tweeting. This guy is amazing. So I really want you to tweet and share what's going on in this conference. And so on Twitter, you see me. I am Dr. Will. I like to keep it simple and sweet. I am Dr. Will, and then you can find L at L Gifted. Underscore Gifted. And so connect with us on Twitter, and we can get the dialogue going. Twitter is amazing and everything. So does anyone have any questions before we kind of
you want to share how you're sharing your story?
Yeah.
I would like to know.
What's going on in your classrooms? Who wants to share?
How y'all share?
Not everyone at the same time.
Well, I'll tell you about a service project we did, and that's how we got exposed to WeVideo. Mm-hmm. We had a tornado in Louisville in April. Mm-hmm. And so my students, when we came back to school in August, wanted to do something to help our town. Well, by that point, there wasn't really anything we could do but build houses, and they don't need to build houses. But they kept telling me I can paint. You don't need paint either. So we kept trying to think what we were going to do, because we had helped the Light of Light Foundation take the Nutcracker to Larry Baxton. We've done the Make-A-Wish. We wanted something different. Well, when Columbia had their tornado in December, when we came back from Christmas, the kids said, we're going to Columbia. So they started collecting money. And through the whole process, we did a video and uploaded it. The White House has a student film festival every year. We uploaded our video to the Student Film Festival about the beginning of our project. And our librarian is one who turned us on to the video, and we videoed. So the kids took all the stuff, made the video, uploaded it. Then they went out throughout the community and they collected $2,040 and started collecting. We worked with the 8th grade social studies class and got 3 boxes of canned goods for the pantry in Columbia. And the youngest casualty that we had in Louisville was a 2nd grader in the gifted program. And his grandmother passed out sunflower seeds because that was his favorite flower to all the 2nd graders and asked that they plant them. So we got permission. We left Louisville on a school bus, drove 4 hours to Columbia. We donated our money, we gave our canned goods, and then we went and worked at a house site in Columbia and planted sunflower seeds at that house site and left seeds for other workers to take wherever they go. So we're hoping that when the seeds will grow and then Columbia will be filled with sunflower seeds. Well, through the whole process, I've had to call the governor of North Carolina and talk to them and email them. Then I called the WCBI here. They followed us throughout our whole thing and put us on the news. We called Walt Grayson, and then he put us on the news. And then some of the parents got a hold of everything. I don't Facebook, but they started posting everything on Facebook that we were doing and all of the connections to the news, you know. So when the school board came for their tour of the campus, and they came to my room yesterday, they went, "Can we have your autograph?" No, you don't need my autograph, you need my kids' autograph. I'm not what's important. They are, and what they're doing is. So come in and talk to them. Well, from there, we have to go out to the radio station. We have a small radio station in Louisville, and next Friday, we're going to be the voice of the school district. So that's one way. I'm interested in learning how to do the blogging, because if we blog, then that would have been another way to have gotten their story out. Or tweet. The school kept saying, you need to tweet. They never gave me the information how to tweet or how to do it. So if I can do that today, then our story can go even further. And we had our visit from the State Department yesterday. School board came in the morning, State Department came all day. And they started telling him what all we were doing. And he said, this is what Gifted is about. You take it out of your classroom, out of your community, and to the state. Or, and to the far reaches. And he said, that's what we're wanting to see. So I'm excited you're here, because you're going to be able to help me do that. I hope when I leave today.
Yes, we're excited. You're excited.
That's a story. I didn't think that is.
That's all right.
Definitely. Right. You can even raise more money.
Yes.
Like if you need to check with your district and see how we can make this a movement, you know?
We left school that Friday afternoon. We had $633. And the kids went out the community. And by Monday afternoon, we had the 2,000. When they got on the bus Tuesday, they handed them $40 in cash. So we were able to take $2,040. But you're right. If we put it out, there's no telling what support would have come in to have helped us make it even bigger than what it was. But it was a big thing for us.
That is a big thing. It's beautiful, beautiful story.
Awesome.
Oh, that's
Thank you
great.
for sharing.
Thank you.
For sharing.
You need inspiring stories.
You do,
What's
and
out
that's
there.
what we need in our, what we do. Like you said, that's what we do.
Right.
So exactly.
Anyone else has a story
Anyone else?
to share? We're sharing story. See, everybody's like, not after that one. Yes.
Share some of the challenges in our district. So much of this is blocked, and there's really not a tech person. I mean, there are people who are put in charge of tech, but they're not really tech people, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, right.
So it's hard to get around some of this, other than just doing it on your phone or personally or at home.
Right.
It's hard to do during the school day.
Yep. Tell them to get, if they're concerned, there's a filter to get called, oh my gosh, now I'm tripping out. This is iBlocker. iBoss. There you go. iBoss. Now, what the iBoss will do is, if they want, it will shut everything down. Because I know that's what they want anyway. That's why everything is shut down anyway. But what they can do is give teachers access to bypass the filter. And that way they will know if Miss Johnson is on YouTube or Miss Johnson is somewhere else. And if they're that concerned, because Miss Johnson happened to be somewhere that she doesn't need to be, then they can talk to Miss Johnson.
Exactly.
But what it will do is open up the web to you teachers to not only share these wonderful things, but to find a whole host of fantastic web sources that you can actually bring into your classroom as well. So iBoss, because that's what we use as a district as well.
I can't think of the one that we have.
Yes, iBoss. So anyone else will share before we adjourn?
You can ask questions, make comments, anything. Open.
Is that it? All righty. Again, tweet throughout the day. Enjoy yourself. And I will also tweet this video out because we have streamed this live via on-air Google Hangout. So the video will be available to watch later. So, all righty then. Well, thank you
so much.
for being here.